Let's talk more about this and the power of the GOP brand versus the Democratic brand, and bring in our brand power team, media relations expert and the founder of Alison May Public Relations, Alison Maloni, also a Newsmax contributor, joining us from the Newsmax New York set right now. Great to see you, Alison, and back with us as well, marketing and branding expert Dr. John Tantillo, an applied research psychologist, and the brand doctor. Let's be honest. The doctor will see you now. All right, so let's talk about this because, you know, obviously the presidential race got most of the attention, but when you look at the down-ballot elections, you see the gains that Republicans made in Congress already, and also the gains that state-level Republicans made all over the country, Alice, and we referenced that with the redistricting story. Whose brand came out on top in 2020?
Yeah, Republicans, right? I mean, they were talking about this blue wave and we didn't see it. And I think the biggest thing is when they were campaigning, they were honing in on the fact that a lot of Democrats, they were claiming, are moving towards progressive and a socialist society. And that did not work for a lot of Democrats. So Republicans certainly. And the other thing, too, John, we've talked about this before, is how much money some of these Democrats have spent on their advertising and their marketing, their campaigning, way more than a lot of Republicans. But it goes to show that it's not all about the advertising. It's more about connecting with your voter. Yes,
it's about to thy own brand be true, right, John? I've heard that a few times before. Maybe I'm learning something here after all this time. But John, you know, really, when you look at you know, kind of the brand issue here, another difficult things for brands to do is a rebrand, kind of, and that's really what the Republican Party has done here. You've heard a lot of elected Republicans say, look, we're now becoming the party of the blue class, middle American voter, not the coastal elites, and that's really what Democrats have come to represent, the more white-collar, coastal, higher brow, if you will, folk.
But you know, John, when it comes to branding, it's all about satisfying needs, which is part of the marketing concept. And what that means is listening to what voters want and giving it to them. The Democrats, unfortunately, were focusing their attention on the graduate students of America and not the blue-collar folks that go to work every day. And as a result, that was the problem, and that's why they did not connect. It's all about satisfying needs. The Republicans got the memo. The Democrats did not.
You know, and Alison, when you look at what's happening right now with Biden's cabinet picks, it doesn't really seem like he's being responsive to a lot of people that helped him win. You know, there's a lot of angst among the progressive wing of the party that they're not being fairly represented here. And I think that's another big issue for the Democrats' brand is healing this division.
Yeah, and there's been a division, but I see a bigger division now. We see AOC and the squad demanding that Joe Biden goes through with the new Green Deal. He talks about paying off student loans. So there's that side, but then there's his picks for his cabinet, and certainly not the people that the progressives and the far left Democrats want him to have in his cabinet.
John, is it dangerous for a brand to try and represent too many people? You tend to alienate some people, right, when you do that?
It's called diluting the brand. And when you dilute the brand, you're a brand to no one. And the whole idea of branding and the secret to branding is knowing your target market and playing to your target market and responding to the needs that they have communicated to you. That's the secret with branding.
One of the things, too, that we haven't really had a chance to talk about, we just have a minute here left to talk about, is kind of the Biden slogan, Build Back Better. I always thought that was a little cumbersome, Alison, and you really don't hear much about that, and maybe they've abandoned it because it was bad.
It was a pretty bad slogan, and nobody really took to it. It wasn't something, you know, with President Trump, Make America Great Again, that slogan stuck. And sometimes slogans are great, and people go with it, and everybody's talking about it. For this one, nobody really paid attention to it, so the fact that they're not mentioning anything, it's important when you pick a slogan, but for him, it certainly didn't really go anywhere. So we'll see what he does and where he continues. And it'd be interesting to see how he handles press conferences as well, because we really haven't heard much from him.
All right, and John, last 30 seconds, see a little derivative, too, from Melania's Be Better campaign. I wasn't even sure if the Build Back Better, is that even grammatically correct?
Well, I don't know. It used to be called a tongue twister. What you want to make sure is when you come up with the slogan that you're not stumbling over it. And certainly that isn't a great example of a melodious or coming off the tongue swiftly or melodiously.
Yes,
But
and,
yeah, I can't even say it right.
easy for us to say, right? John Allison, great to see you. Great to see you both. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.